Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Mossy Roots Farm. So today, we're going to tear apart this pump. Now, I subscribe to the theory of it's already broke. How much more damage can you really do to it? Excuse me. I'm going to shut these doors so the lighting's not as harsh. But it's already broke, right? It already isn't pumping very good. So what's it matter if I tear this thing apart? Now, maybe I find out that when I pull this off, I can't actually access anything inside, and it's a molded housing, which would be very inconvenient and dumb, but, I mean, hey, it's Harbor Freight. That's kind of what they do, you know. But they had to get everything in there in the first place, right? So somehow it's got to come open. What happened with this pump is I pumped water that had a little bit of sediment in it, and it was pumping fine, and then it stopped pumping as good. And then all of a sudden, I tried cleaning it out with water, and it just still didn't pump any better. So either the motor itself is shot, or the pump's just gummed up, which is what I'm kind of thinking. It's just got a lot of sand and sediment in it, and I might need to clean it. Now, worst case scenario, I completely destroy this thing, and I need to go buy a new one. And yeah, you might say that's extremely expensive, and it is. However, this doesn't work right. It's not working how it used to work. It's not working how I want it to work. So what's the difference between it not working and me buying a new one and it working? And it's still broken even after I fix it or attempt to fix it, and I still have to buy a new one. And plus, if I buy a new one, I don't know that I'll buy one of these pumps. I like these. These are really great. The electric. Oh, I'm going to need 2 hands for that. But the problem is I don't necessarily need an electric pump. And in fact, a gas pump would probably be better in my situation. So let's tear this thing apart and let's see what's inside. Alrighty, folks, got it tore apart. So I took these 4 bolts out of here, go through the housing, took them out. This housing is kind of interesting. I didn't realize that they made it a 2-piece design. I might actually have to pull those brushes out and put them back in because they are spring-loaded. I'm going to have to do that, which is just these here. It shouldn't be difficult, but we'll see. The pump itself is kind of an interesting thing. So they made it all one piece, which isn't the worst idea in the world. And then it's just these plastic teeth and gears right here. Now, there is some very light sediment and stuff, but that's never going to hurt it. But let me show you what my issue was. These 2 rocks right here. These 2 rocks were in there, and I bet you they were causing enough, what do I want to say, turbulence, that's a good word for it, enough turbulence in there to cause all my issues. Now, I don't feel anything else. I haven't rinsed this out yet. I'm going to run some water through it, just see what else I get out of there. And if you look here, it looks like the pump actually sits on this surface, because you can actually see the edges of the pump on it. But I just took it out extremely careful because it was not pressed in, but it was a really tight fit. So this whole gasket here was a tight fit on there. I did chew up a little bit of this lip, but I didn't want to pull on the motor shaft because I didn't want to mess up any of the windings or the electrical magnets or anything, which I might actually be doing because it's sitting against steel, but we'll see. And then this gasket still looks good because that's what actually seals it. And as long as that surface is clean, we'll be good to go to reinstall. So I'm assuming this was my issue, and the reason I say that is because there's nothing else in there. When I go to flush this out, I'll obviously make sure there's nothing else in there. I don't have any way of turning the pump backwards, which would have been really cool because it would have spit everything out. But I don't think that it actually would work backwards because it's a centrifugal pump. It actually, it works because it pulls all the water, to the outer edge, and it kind of pushes it out, if that makes sense. So we'll get this cleaned up here and get her reinstalled and see if she works again. Well, folks, I think I got it. I'm just going to back away here because that pump's noisy and I want to let it run because I got to fill up that water inside the barn here. I think it's good. I'm hoping all that it was those 2 rocks. Now, I will say this. When I did have it running to suck out the spring head, it was flowing really good, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So I'm not sure if it's 110% but it's at least flowing some water, and it doesn't seem like it's that bad right now. Potentially what happened is maybe because it's a plastic pump, it lost some seal or something, and it's not pumping quite as hard. I'm not 100% sure in that regard. So, but it's working now. I got the rocks out. That's all that really matters. But that's why I say, what's the harm in fixing it? You know, I've gotten myself into some trouble because I will say average to above average intelligence. You know, I don't take no for answers, and I ask a boatload of questions. You know, there's a reason for that, right? I don't want to just be told something. I want to actually learn it. Spencer Reed from Criminal Minds, I think he said once. He goes, once I learn it and understand it, I know it forever. Well, I'm kind of like that. You know, when I tore that motor apart, it was like every other electric motor I've ever torn apart. You know, I used to do industrial maintenance, and that's something that I'd have to do, is repair some motors and such things. So that's something that I would have to do, is take a motor like that and fix her up. So anyhow, I'm gonna let that thing pump. I gotta go grab a garden hose for these cows. I'm not gonna graze them, but I need to get the water down to them because they are running out of spring water. So, and because we're gonna have some really nice days, we're supposed to be up in the 70s for like the next week or so. So we'd be okay running the garden hose without frost issues. I want to get them out grazing, but like I said in the previous video, I think it's just a little bit too warm yet to get them out and graze them again, but we'll see what happens. So anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.